Absolutely not. If they take it by force, there'll be no control in this community. If they take it by force, I guarantee you, sir, tell Jim Hunt, if they take it by force, this will blow out throughout the nation and the world. It won't be pleasant for any of us. Right. If they take this site by force, it's over. Right. And you're going to have a major national civil rights issue right here in Warren County. Certainly you can't doubt it. Would you make a last call to him?
Because we're and he's not by himself on this. We are all by.
We won't back down. This is my home.
We don't want no PCB.
We don't want no PCB.
Give it to Hunt, don't give it to me.
Give it to Hunt, don't give it to me.
In some spots of the 210 miles of roadside now, except for the warning signs, you can't even tell the PCB is there, but it is. And in the years since the intentional contamination was discovered, the state has been dealing with a dilemma about what to do with the tainted dirt.
In the summer of 1978, in late July and August, for nearly 2 weeks, in the dark of night, a man and his sons spewed PCBs along 200 and maybe 20 miles of road. We're never sure about the numbers, in 14 counties, and they had done it previously in June at Fort Bragg. So immediately there was a public health crisis. The state put up signs like about every quarter of a mile, big yellow signs that said caution, PCB along the roadsides. Life goes on, and the people next to the roads, their life does not go on normally. They're walking through them. Their kids are standing in the buses. They're living with them. We learned about the actual landfill, what the state was going to do with this, in late December, right before Christmas, when we heard that the state intended to bury the PCBs regardless of the public sentiment. Well, that set off a powder keg in Warren County, because not only did toxic PCBs seem really dangerous, we didn't know a lot about them at first, but nobody likes to be told that you don't have any say in your future.
Earl Limer has been living on this Warren County farm all his life. He was born in the back room of this farmhouse his father built. He and his family love this land, and they understand it. What he and a lot of other people don't understand are the effects of the toxic chemical PCB.
What are you afraid PCB might do to your cattle, to your family, or just to the area?
Well, according to what they say, they're not sure of all that it will do. They know of some things it'll do, but they're not sure of everything it'll do. I've heard that it would cause cancer. And I can't afford to put this cattle on the market, and it might be some of that stuff to drift through here, through the air, or get in the creek down there, and I might kill people in California. I might kill a little child like this one from eating a piece of beef.
Just 600 yards from where we're standing, the state has been planning to buy 142 acres of land to bury PCB, a prospect that has caused Earl Limer to start thinking about selling his family farm.
I am somebody. Soul power. People's power. Love power. Right on.
The way we were being raised was preparing us for the world. And then when the protests and the marches came in, it didn't take us a lot to get ready. We had been practicing for something, had no idea that this was what it was going to be. Being prepared to voice our opinions and speak up properly and articulate well what we were feeling and what we were saying and how that moment was impacting our community. We've been doing that a long time.
We shall not be moved just like a tree planted by the water. We shall not be moved just like a tree that's planted by the water. We will not be moved.
go. Move off the road.
Shall I hear? The victory belongs to the people. The victory belongs to God. We will not allow one county to become a dump site.
What we're going to do is to put up a 2-month blockade. I know y'all out friends, so I ain't worried about you. I know you got to obey the law. I understand that, but I know where your heart is. So we are together, So we work that out.
Reverend, we've got some trucks coming in here in a minute. Just got to go in there.
That's why we're here. And we said we're going to stop this.
And I remember thinking, why do they think it's just okay to bring it here? And that whole moment of walking and marching and singing and thinking and being afraid overwhelmed me at that moment. And I remember crying and there was tears running down my cheek. And one of my friends from high school walked up, Wanda, and she put her arm around me and she walked the rest of the way down with me, and we sang and protest together. That is just what I was just describing. That's that spirit of community, just her seeing me. We didn't get up that morning and plan to walk and go to the march together, and I met her there and we were gonna walk side by side. That was none of it. But when she saw me overwhelmed, the sense of community, the way we were raised, how we grew up, she automatically came to me. And at that moment is when that picture was born.
I can almost remember that, right now. I jumped and was walking backwards as I was taking that photograph. I never anticipated that day to really be of kind of the significance historically that it became.
We got to win. Oh yeah. He said the dump got to go. Oh yeah. And the PCB too. Oh yeah. He said la 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 la.
I actually started in the movement when I was like 2. And my mom actually had me in the stroller marching for the Wilmington 10. So it's been in me ever since the beginning. When it was time for March, my mother never left me at home, so she would always take me with her. And at the age of 8, when I figured out what was going on with the landfill and I figured out the commotion, I headed up my 4th and 5th grade class members, and we wrote letters to the governor. We just went from there. We had a Black Monday where none of the kids went to school and that type of thing. So with organizing young people, You know, they're ready to put in whatever they have to put in. Most adults want to know the pros and cons of everything before they get involved. And young people just go out there and do. It's something that our forefathers, our ancestors have always taught us, that it's going to take the young people to continue the struggle. As long as you get young people, I tell my mom, if y'all let us handle this movement, the landfill will already be detoxified. And at that point in time, I knew I knew what polychlorinated biphenyls were. I just knew it was PCB and that it caused cancer. And I had heard all these terrifying stories about the Love Canal and Cancer Alley and all those things. And I just didn't want my community to be like that. And I said, I don't want my mom or my dad to die of cancer. And this is racism. Now my mom has a sister that stays in Newark. And after she saw me on national TV that night, she was there the next morning. There are a lot of other stories like mine that are out there.
I was looking back at these photos, and wow, they still bring back a lot of emotion from when I was up there. And I thought, boy, for someone who really didn't know what she was doing at the time, I really captured some stuff. Taking these pictures and seeing, look at these police, I mean, they're in riot gear, and then these enormous dump trucks. And I think that's what I was really trying to convey in my photos, is I felt the emotion of the people.
Lord, come by here. Lead us, Lord, come by here. The children I need us, Lord, come by here. Oh, come by here.
We had just getting ready to start protests, and so Reverend White was Dolly's pastor at the time. So they were working on the project. Dolly called me and said, we're going to have a march tomorrow, and we're going to have a protest. And so I want as many people to come. So I said, I'll be there. So that's how we got started. Because what one did, the other one, what they called on the other one was going to do it. I think I went on down there. This is my first time getting arrested. And that was when the movement was just starting, right?
I can tell you I was prepared to go to work that day. Because you see that suit, and I meant the suit. Miss Lowry is the only somebody that had jeans on. And I think Jocelyn wasn't prepared to get arrested. None of us, we didn't come to get arrested. But once Miss Lowry said she wanted to really force the state to bring attention to what was happening in the children's mind, that they were afraid. Nobody had, all they saw was troopers with billy clubs, that they were being bused by each day to go to school at South Warren, and they were afraid, and nobody was addressing their fear. She didn't want anybody to post her bond that day. She was going to stay in jail. So the four of us, I think, all agreed to not only get arrested that day, but to spend the night in jail.
Fired up! Fired up! Fired up! Fired up! Fired up! Fired up! Ain't gonna take it no more! Ain't gonna take it no more!
You told us Sunday in a meeting that the stuff was poison. You knew it was poison. We have to do something and do it now. Now, why you come out here now, changing your mind and gonna let the people come in here and pump this stuff out? Why? So I mean, we just choose to go to jail and sit in jail as a die with cancer. It's just as simple as that.
Not only did they build the landfill and cap it with water, ours was built and it failed from day one. And by the end of the movement, which was late October, by that next spring, the state had already realized after the top eroded off of it, there were gullies, it blew up in bubbles so that they had to pop, PVC pipes in to let out the toxic methane gas. Their plan was to try to pump the water out from the landfill, to put it through a filtration system, and then spray it back onto the landfill, which made no sense to us. We were incensed. So that next spring, Ken and a couple people who understood this, they were with an alliance from Washington, D.C., they went over to the site when the state was going to begin pumping, and they removed the pump from the contractor's truck and just set it aside. They didn't leave the property. They were then arrested for felonious larceny. Ken went to jail. He fasted in jail for 3 weeks, and the whole point of his doing this was to say, look, not only is this bad, but look how quickly it's bad. You know, it was bad from the beginning.
And if they take me to jail, I promise you, if I can get out of jail, I'll go back. And every time they free me, I'll go back. And as long as I'm free, I won't stop. I'll keep going back until we've freed ourselves from them.
Want your freedom, say amen.
Amen.
If you want your freedom, say amen.
Amen.
If you want your freedom, if you want your freedom, if you want your freedom, say amen.
Amen.
If you want your freedom, clap your hand. If you want your freedom, clap your hand. If you want your freedom, if you want your freedom, if you want your freedom, clap your hands. If you want your freedom, stomp your feet. If you want your freedom, stomp your feet. If you want your freedom, if you want your freedom, if you want your freedom, stomp your feet. If you want your freedom, jump and shout. If you want your freedom, jump and shout. If you want your freedom, if you want your freedom, if you want your freedom, jump and shout. Amen. Amen. Clap your hands. Stomp your feet.